Greetings, one and all, and welcome back to the Awaken to Ascend YouTube channel. It's a rainy day here today in the eucalyptus forest. I'm getting a little wet, but that's okay. I don't mind. I actually quite enjoy it. Anytime I'm caught out in the rain like this, I'm reminded of a memory. It's like an image that's kind of burned in my brain of the time I went to India with my dad, and we're in our $400 a night hotel. We're at the 6th floor having a meal in the restaurant. And it's a monsoon outside, pouring down rain, more rain than you can imagine. And I see a family take off their clothes, not fully naked, but they took off their clothes and they were outside just dancing in the rain. It's like they pulled over on the side of the road as they were driving past and they just got out and started dancing. And I thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. I was like, what am I doing in this hotel? Slurping down mulligatanis when I could be outside dancing in the rain? But that segues into our topic today. Today I want to talk about traveling and its impact on us, especially as far as spirituality goes. What a segue, right? That was pretty good. How do I want to start this? A lot of people, especially when they're early in their spiritual journey, feel like they need to travel. They need to go out into the world and experience different things and new things. And I recommend that wholeheartedly. A little bit of my backstory is I was very fortunate as a child. I got to travel a lot. As a kid, we went everywhere. Been to Mexico a handful of times, Bolivia a handful of times. I taught English in Peru. Went to India, as I said, Dominican Republic. Been to England like 4 times. Traveled around Europe, although I don't quite remember it. I was too young. Been to Hong Kong, been to Australia a couple of times. I actually lived there for about a year. So yeah, I've been to a lot of places. I've seen a lot of things. There's places I'm forgetting too. But most of that traveling was done before I had my awakening. And looking back on it, I'd say it was absolutely necessary. It was crucial for my own personal spiritual development. When I look back on all those travels, I realized that they were preparing me for an awakening. They were showing me a different perspective, different cultures, different ways of life, different ways of looking at reality. And without all that experience traveling, I probably wouldn't have had my awakening the way I did. It wouldn't have happened. I would have been stuck in American culture. And American culture is designed to keep us kind of lazy and fat. So, so there's that. Before my spiritual awakening, travel was very crucial for me. One of my favorite trips was going to India with my dad. He was working for a communications company, and he had to go to India for months at a time, every 3 or 4 or 5 times a year. And I got to go on one of the trips, but of course he's super busy, so he can't chauffeur me around. I'm 13 years old at the time, maybe 12 or 13. And I was just left to my own devices. At one point, he called a cab and put me in a cab so I could go see the Taj Mahal, which is 4 or 5 hours away. he just ushered this 13-year-old boy into a cab in India, traveled 5 hours, and I saw the Taj Mahal. It was amazing. It was the most magical experience ever. I mean, I was hounded by 100 kids. I pulled out a rupee out of my pocket to pay the admission, and hundreds of kids just start swarming me like I'm the president or something, like I'm gonna hand out wads of cash when I only have a couple of rupees to my name myself. I saw a lot of cool stuff in Agra and all that, and then we also went on a day trip. I say we, not my dad. He put me on a bus this time with one of his co-workers, so I wasn't completely alone. But he put me on a bus with one of his co-workers. We went to Jaipur, which is in Rajasthan, which is a whole different state. It's out in the desert, and that was another magical experience. I got to see forts and palaces and cobras and charmers. It was just a great experience. But I think India really kind of, I'm asleep at this time. I'm just a boy, a little child, but it really kind of opened my eyes to the possibilities of spirituality. When I think of India, I think of just magic in the air. It's there's a feeling of spirit all around you. You just feel like you're closer to source. I mean, everyone there is more spiritual. Everyone's eating a little bit cleaner. They're spending more time in prayer. They're a little bit more present, more grounded. They don't have all the distractions that we might have in the West. So going to India really opened my eyes to what possibilities there are. Like, you can have a spiritual lifestyle at all times and a normal 3D lifestyle, which is what the Indians have. They kind of balance their 3D and their spiritual lives really well. So yeah, that opened my eyes. But once I woke up, my desire to travel went to almost zero. My feet are getting so wet. Oh my goodness, my socks are soaked. Ugh. Anyway, I just stopped wanting to travel. Now, you want to go on vacation here and there, go to, a festival or a show or something. But as far as like the need to just get up and go somewhere, for me, that completely died when I had my awakening. You might say that's sad, but I would say quite the opposite. I believe the reason was I realized there's a whole world, a whole universe inside, right? I'm looking in 3D, looking outside myself for answers, but all the answers are within. If all the answers are coming from within, then why would I go without? Why would I search the globe for answers when I could just tap into my higher self? So for me, this is not going to be true for every spiritual person on their spiritual journey, but for me, it's like a whole new room unlocked. And it's like, I got to explore this room before I go back to the old stuff. And that just kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like a spiritual lesson almost. Maybe I learned I taught myself my own spiritual lesson. And maybe part of this is Paulo Coelho, because it's kind of like the premise of The Alchemist. I don't want to spoil the book if you haven't read it. If you haven't read this pamphlet, go read it. You can read it in one sitting. It won't kill you. It's a beautiful book. And without spoiling too much, the kind of idea is that when we go searching outside of ourselves, what are we really looking for? Right? When we go looking for that perfect relationship, when we go look for that perfect home, I'm getting drenched right now. To go look for that perfect whatever, okay? What are we really looking for? The answer is we're looking for a reflection of ourselves to teach us about ourselves. And for a lot of us, that is the best way to reflect ourselves back at ourselves, is to go outside and find a person, place, or thing that's going to show us our little shadow and bring it to our attention, and then we go heal it. And that's one way to travel this little journey that we're on. That's one way to navigate this cube matrix, sure. Another way is to just go completely inwards and say, you know what, there's a whole universe inside of me. I can tap directly into Source, which knows all, which is all. So I could go in there and do my learning and my healing and my growing. And that's equally as valid, I would say. Just as valid to do that. So I think that was thunder in the background. So I believe that pretty much humans fall into one of the two categories. You're either search outside yourself person or go inwards person. Now, do I believe that we're all both? Yes, of course. I think at times we're inwards people, at times we're outwards people. But I also think it's very important once you wake up and you start the spiritual journey to be aware when you're searching outside of yourself. I would see that as a bad thing. Other people might see it as a good thing. So it's not either thing. It's neutral, like all things are. But yeah, for me, it's like at this point in my journey, I want to explore the inwards world. There's so much to explore in there. I don't know what's really going on in there. I mean, who knows? So for me, my journey is focused on that right now. For you, you might be focused on the outside world, and there's nothing wrong with that. That just means you've chosen to have the world reflect back to you. And that's cool too. But I think what those people will ultimately find out, maybe not this lifetime, but eventually, they're going to find out that all roads lead back to the inward self. All roads. There's no getting away from it. They're all is one. There's only one consciousness. So explore it. Right? You can explore reflections of it, sure, but eventually you got to go inwards. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, okay? That's why I love to start these discussions so I can hear your comments in the comment section. Look at this. Jeez, I don't know if you can see the rain, but it's pouring now. These trees, these eucalyptus trees are not providing the shade I once thought they might. Oh, goodness. I'm not sure what to do. I'm miles from home. Anyway, I'm going to deal with this situation as it worsens. But I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing. Thank you for checking out the website, awakentoascend.com. Go check that out. There's blogs and stuff. That's cool. Really cool stuff over there. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for discussing your discussions and putting them in the comment section. I will hear from you guys next time. Love you all. Peace.